All right, now we're doing 7Q, previous multiple of 3. This is by Keys de Vrigd, and 92% of the people like it. So given a positive integer in, which is 0 is less than in, which is less than this number, we're going to remove the last digit until we're left with the number that's a multiple of 3. We're going to return in if the input is already a multiple of 3, and if no such number exists, we're going to return null, a similar empty value, or -1. And then here's some examples. And this is how they'll do it. 1 is null, 25 is null, 36 is 36. When it gets down to 12, that's what we're going to return, and when it gets down to 9, that's what we're going to return. All right. So we could start this off with a little while loop. We could say while in remainder operator 3. So while in divided by 3 has a remainder, we're going to do something like we're going to knock off this last digit. So all we got to do is do like in equals in divided by 10, and and all we got to do is get rid of the decimal places. And to do that, we're going to use this Math.floor function, which always rounds down and returns the largest integer less than or equal to a given number. So we just wrap this thing up in parentheses, and we say in front of it, Math.floor, all right? And so it'll just keep turning into the number 10 times less than it, and then round it down. And then it'll check to see if that new number is divisible by 3, and if not, it'll just keep going and going and going until in is 0, or in is divisible by 3. So down here we'll just say if, whoops, what are we doing here? Yeah, if in exists, all right, we're going to return. Actually, we don't even have to do that. Check this out. Now that I think about it, all we have to do is say return either in, and if in doesn't exist, we'll just say no, like that, or -1, whatever. Test it out, and look at that, just like that. And there's another way we could do this if this is a little too bulky for you, or if you just want to learn a different way of doing it. We could get rid of everything after this arrow, bring it down here, and we could use something called the ternary operator. If you don't know about it, the conditional or ternary operator is the only JavaScript operator that takes 3 operands: a condition followed by a question mark, then an expression to execute if the condition is truthy followed by a colon, and finally the expression to execute if the condition is falsy. And this operator is frequently used as an alternative to if-else statements. So instead of doing if-else, we could just come down here and say, first off, if in is less than 3, we're just going to return null, just like that. And then we'll do an else if in remainder operator 3, so if in divided by 3 has a remainder, we'll say, and then we can just use recursion on this one. So we'll come over here, and if you don't know about recursion, it's just the act of a function calling itself to solve problems that contain smaller subproblems. So we just say something like this. We just say, do it again by saying prev mult of 3, and then we'll say inside of these parentheses, we'll do a Math.floor, and we'll say in divided by 10, just like on the other one. All right. And so basically, it's going to go through, and if it does have a remainder, it's going to just do this again, and then it'll check to see if it exists, or excuse me, if n's less than 3, it'll throw a null, or it'll keep doing it until at some point it is divisible by 3, and we return in right there. So let's test that out, and just like that, and attempt it, and there we go, and submit it. All right, so this one, they're doing an if statement, null, and then they end up doing what is this? They end up doing recursion just like we did, except for they did it a different version. slice off the end instead of, and then they turn it to a string, slice off the end of it, and then turn it back into a number, which, I mean, that's cool. And then here's this one. It's doing a while loop like we did, and doing an if statement inside. I mean, you can check out all these if you feel like it. Let's go over to mine. Just me on this one. Best practice in my opinion. Very much like it. And we'll see you next time.